Luka, thanks so much for joining us, bud. Warming up with LeBron James out there. You were his first pick. What was it like to hear the name Luka Magic taken with the first pick?
It's always special, man. You know, he's one of the best players to ever play this game, so it's always special for him for picking me first, and I really appreciate it.
A six-time NBA champion and five-time league MVP, Michael Jordan.
Take me through what that moment was like. Michael Jordan came up, gave you a hug, and you guys talked a little bit.
That's amazing. I don't know how to explain. That moment is just unbelievable, you know. MJ knows my name, it's a lot. So it was just an unbelievable moment. I have no words for that.
When I look at the NBA and say 5 years, 10 years from now, who are some of the guys you believe will be the face? We got LaMelo, we got Luka, we got Trae Young, we got Jason Tatum, Zion, Book, Ja.
I will say this, the NBA is in great hands.
Yes.
When you look at the talent, the young talent in the game today, when you look at the talent coming up, when you look at the way that they do a great job of developing in the G League, outstanding group of talented basketball players. The one guy that you named, to me, I think could very well be on the top 75 player list that comes out pretty soon. And people say, well, will there be a sleeper that's young? But Luka Doncic is the real deal. When you look at what he's been able to do early on in his career, he's got it.
You think he'll be top 75?
If it was me voting,
yeah,
he's on the list. Because of I'm not a guy that's pointing. I don't want to point at anybody on the top 50 list,
right,
but he's better than some of those guys.
Right.
And I watch some of those guys.
Right. That the guy has to have to want the ball, to want those shots when you guys had blown an 11-point lead in 3 minutes and then things weren't going well for you.
Well, we were in the timeouts, and as they were making their run, Luka was the guy in the timeout for the players that was saying, "Hey, look, keep our poise. We still have the lead. We still have the lead." Then they finally got the lead, but he's just a very unique player, a very unique person. The wiring of people like Luka Doncic, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Larry Bird, Kobe Bryant, guys that have this laser-like focus in these situations. It's difficult to explain, how their mind and their brain works. But from what I've seen over the years, and this is over 3 decades now, as the game gets tighter and the moment gets bigger, their focus is only on one thing, and that is succeeding with whatever the team needs. Whether it's the perfect pass for an assist, whether it's great shot making. I've seen this time and time again, and been victimized as a coach with guys when guys like Kobe have hit shots and guys like that. So, he's a very rare breed of player, and not only does he have the laser-like focus, but he has the desire and he has all the tools to deliver.
Okay, last question for Rick, Leonardo.
Talking about the clutch, do you think there is someone better than Luka?
In clutch situations? Is that your question?
Yeah.
Not tonight, there isn't.
What does it say about Luka when he's in his 3rd All-Star game and just his 4th year in the league? When it took Steph Curry 7 years, Kevin Durant and Kobe Bryant 5 years, and also now that you're coaching Luka, what have you learned about him that you didn't know before?
He's a good cards player. Didn't know that about him. The kid is incredible. I mean, he's ahead of everybody. When you bring up those names, those are Steph. He's on, top 75 players of all time. I mean, Luka should be on that list. Unfortunately, he's not, but he will be at the end of the day because of the way he plays and his longevity. As long as he just doesn't get bored, he's going to play for a long time. But he's a great young man. I've had a lot of fun with him of late, but he loves to compete. He loves to win, and you can see he gets better. Right now, this stretch, he's playing at a very, very high level. If you switch with him, he makes the right play. If you take the ball out of his hand, he trusts his teammates, and that just shows the leadership and the growth in his team.
Monty, what's your biggest takeaway when watching Dončić on tape?
I don't think I'm going to hit you with anything enlightening. He's just a really good player. How do you describe that? He's versatile. He's timely. He's big. He makes plays in the moment. To me, the guys that are elite in this league are the guys that see every coverage, every defensive player. You kind of know what they're going to do, and they still get it done. And he's moving into that category where everybody's not surprised by him anymore, and he's still putting up these video game numbers. So he's if I had hair, I'd pull it out. That's the deal with guys like that. So he's just a fantastic player.
Because I love everything about his game, love everything about him. The way he plays the game reminds me of the way I play the game. We're just triple threats. We rebound, we pass, which is the number one thing on our mind, trying to keep our teammates engaged and keep our teammates feeling good out on the floor, keeping our teammates in rhythm. And we'll put 40 on you too if you disrespect us.
We've developed a great relationship. Of course, it's a little sad that I only got to play with him 1 year. He's such a special talent, so good already at reading the floor at just 21, 22. It's just unbelievable all-around game. So I would say he's better than me now than I've ever been in my prime. That's how good he is at 22 already. And it's been a pleasure to be around him. He's a good kid. He wants to do well, and so that's been fun. And we've had a good relationship, and we stay in touch. And I'm always there for him if he needs something, or if he has a question, or if he's going through something. Obviously, always we'll try to help him out. And for paving the way, I think there were some European players that paved the way for me, like Detlef Schrempf was obviously an idol of mine, and Kukoc and Petrovic, and then if I help pave the way now for some of these younger guys that come in now, that's of course very very humbling to hear. If I helped some or inspired some guys coming out of Europe and work hard or get into basketball, that is of course humbling to hear.
So Luka's a rookie, and it's so cool that you guys cross paths. You're at the tail end. He's at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Did you know right away with him?
Honestly, so I've only seen video of him. I don't watch much EuroLeague and stuff. So getting ready for that draft, I only seen a few highlights from him, and I was like, oh, he looks big as a guard. I don't know if he can keep up with athleticism. He doesn't look the fastest. He drove by these guys easy in the EuroLeague, but I'm like, the defenders here are sort of different. So I didn't really quite know. I thought he could be a really good, skilled player, a big guard. I didn't know that he was actually faster than he looked, and I didn't know how good of a passer and shooter he was. So he surprised me on multiple levels. And when he got here, I think he was playing something Euroball, and then he came for training camp. And before training camp, we usually meet a couple weeks before. Guys play 5, work out together, we lift, we play 5-on-5 before camp even starts. And the first day he plays a little bit, and I remember he was already like super cool and giving the passes. I'm kind of giving him a look. I was like, I got to test him a little bit, right? So there's at the big, I fouled him pretty hard one time, and then he's at the free throw line for game. So I'm going over there. I'm like, I got a little something for this young guy. So I'm giving him a little trash talk, and I was like, no way you're making these 2 free throws. And he just smiled at me. He didn't say anything. And he knocked those 2 free throws in. So I think he gained respect right away by his composure, by how mature he was as a 19, 20-year-old, how he sees the floor, how he reads the pick and roll situations. I mean, he's so far ahead of his time already and ahead of his age that it's actually really scary. So we were surprised the minute we saw this kid on the floor in Dallas.
Can you try to put into context what we've witnessed with Luka during this series? Because the numbers are historical, and he's not just getting those numbers, he's getting those numbers against a great defensive team, a top 5 defensive team with 2 of the best wing defenders in the NBA.
And they're checking him, they're guarding him. Like going against, a team like that, and I mean, you've seen Doc, especially how he prepares firsthand how he prepares for playoff games. Ty Lue's great. Ty Lue, it's like, okay, we were an underachieving regular season team, but when it came time for playoffs, he's like, I got this. He's like, everything that he set up for us, he just had a brilliant mind for, his schemes and his X's and O's, his ATOs, his just everything that he did. It just made more sense moving forward when it came to playoff time. But Luka, he's doing it against those guys and against a team, like you said, who's a top 5 defensively. What he did yesterday was historic. I guess, with 40, 15, and 10 was only Oscar and Chuck. So it's been 30 years since it's even been done. He did it on a bad ankle without Porzingis. It's like, he's going to his step back. You know that the play is going to be drawn up for him. He already has 40. It's like, of course that shot's going in. But he's taken himself from, I said it yesterday, it's like from being right at the cusp to like now bona fide superstar. Like the numbers that he's putting up right now in the first round, taking his team to a 7 seed in a Western Conference, like we said, was pretty top heavy, to play against a 2 seed where at his position, he shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. Like
you look at it on paper, you're like, okay, this is the matchup. Second year guy,
First
playoff run. He's 21 years old. Yeah. It's just unbelievable. It's hard to put into words what he's doing, because I don't know if, we just haven't either seen it in so long, or he might even get to a point especially if they win. I mean, that's going to put him in a whole different stratosphere. If they beat the number 2 seed for a team that was likely, a lot of people said coming in, that was the
title favorites. Probably. Yeah. I mean, Vegas-wise, the title favorites right now.
There you go.
Do you think people in the league are surprised at this level of ascent so quickly? I think everyone knows he's an amazing talent, but
I mean, I personally am. I'm shocked, because typically, I talked about earlier, like our young guys going through the league a couple times and coming back, knowing what they have to work on and coming back and then going through the league again and kind of having like a slow start or a slump. I think you saw it with Donovan Mitchell, who now, like I said, 2 50-point games in the same playoff series, but like to ascend that much so fast, it's like, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's stuff you only see in the true greats of the game, I feel.
I feel like the league is in really good hands.
Really good hands. Really good hands.
Kevin, as you've watched Luka now for the last few years, what is it about his game that has allowed him to get to this level so quickly?
Well, I mean, I think it's a culmination of playing in the EuroLeague at such an early age, playing that style of basketball where you got the ball out top all game. It's a slower paced game, and he controls it a lot. I mean, he's the main ball handler. And they run pretty much one play the whole game, which is a pick and roll for him, and then he just creates. And so it's unpredictable sometimes. He's such a great passer that he'll get into the lane and throw a dime. After he, goes up for a shot, he might throw a dime, So he's unique in how they use him. They feature him every possession. So, and then they got other guys when he's not playing, like Spencer, who plays similar to him, and Jalen Brunson that plays similar to him. So they built that program for him the second he got there, and they made sure he was able to be the best version of himself every day. So, sky's the limit. He's going to continue to do this for the next decade or plus.
Luka Doncic. He's obviously he plays at his own pace, and there are some similarities. he never lets anyone speeds him up, and he gets what he wants. And that's rare for a guy, at a young age. I think he's 21 years old, to be able to dictate the game and control the game like he does. So obviously we all know he has a very, very bright future, and the Mavs got a special one.
Pat, do you have a guy this year that you just, when you got to match up with him, you just hate it?
No, not this year. Not this year. I've done a lot to my body this summer. I've done a lot of game planning on different players this summer. I'm locked in better than I think I've ever been in my career this year.
I want to ask you, because you guys played them in back-to-back years, and you played us last year, and that's the Mavs, and just that matchup with Luka, and kind of the mindset that you have when you're guarding, because you guarded a bunch of different positions and a bunch of different sized people, but that matchup of guarding Luka, what makes him so tough and so different really than, say, a Ja or a Steph? I know all these guys are different, Ja, Steph, Dame, but Luka specifically, what makes him such a tough matchup?
One, that his intelligence, like he's physical as and flops at the same time, which is the exact same thing I do. Physical as swipe at me, she's trying to kill me, right? Get him, he's trying to kill me. And he's the exact same way. He initiates the contact, hits you, and it's not like, as basketball players, you can feel like, the muscle, and it's not muscle with him. And that's no, discredit to his body or anything, but that's just how he's made up. It's that kind of that flabby solid type of, just leaning on you. And then you lean on the back and he, put his heads up and put a lot of pressure on the referee, so you can't really guard him physically like the type of way I want to guard him. He did a good job of exploiting that, real good job.
Really smart. He sees the game 2-3 steps ahead of him. And, he's a willing passer. He can score, but he's going to get involved everybody else. So I think that's a unique thing to have, because, you can score, but you want to take care of your guys first, and then it opens up for him, and then he does what he does. So.
A lot of people, you sort of caught a lot of people by surprise, because in college, I
mean, those people, they don't know basketball, because when he was 18, he was MVP. He was MVP of EuroLeague. EuroLeague is not a bad league. It's one of the best leagues. So, and of course, it's tough to, how would I say that? It's tough to comment on somebody if you don't see him play so many times. You see him a couple of times, and then okay, he had a good game. Everybody can have that. But he already shown when he was with Real Madrid at 15 years old, he was already playing for A team and, doing well. So, I know him as a kid. I know him he was 5 years old. I played with his dad. His dad was my mentor. So, I'm really connected with Luka and with his family. But, he's just a pure natural talent that you don't see so often. So,
if I'm taking one player now for the, future, it's Luka Doncic. I think he's the best player in the NBA. I think with what he's done at his age is incredible, right? And it's when you see him, I never got a chance to play against him, but I've been around him. He's huge, and he can't be sped up. Whether you put a Patrick Beverly on him or a Kawhi Leonard, he does what he wants. He gets where he wants. He holds him off in the pick and roll. He's got the ISO step back three. He's a willing passer. They've done a great job putting shooters and lob threats around him that make him even better. And yeah, I think when you look at his body, you're like, he's a little pudgy. He's a kid. And so imagine him on a meal plan in the weight room. He's doing this without any of that. So, I think he's spectacular. I think he's destined for greatness, and I think he's the best player in the NBA.
Yeah. And he's got just an array of shots.
Yeah, he talks. He's tough. He's barking. He's almost barking at the refs too much, but he's getting his guys going. He's getting everybody involved.
It's really interesting, Chandler. I heard a GM say this years ago that international players 20 years ago felt like visitors.
Yeah.
So they would come into our game and be very respectful. They would never demand a trade. It was I'm visiting. Luka's like, no, this is my place.
Oh, he's took over quick. It is his team. It's his league. He is he's unbelievable, and I honestly look to them to make a good run in the playoffs this year.
So?
I just think he's special, man. I think he can do it all. I love the trade for them. I love Dinwiddie.
Yeah.
I love the system.
Does Spencer need the ball too much, though?
You know what? I think he's a great option. Guys like Luka, they can do everything, but they need those second and third players to relieve pressure. And when Luka gets in foul trouble or he goes out, you need the Spencer Dinwiddies of the world to go and get a bucket like we were talking about.
Do you think his penchant for stepping up when the lights are brightest is something that he's learned over being a pro for so long, or do you think it's like innate within him that he likes that stage?
Both. I think he has gotten better with it, but he's always had it. He's like I said last time, a generational talent with a lot of abilities. And wanting that moment is number one, basically for him. And he loves putting his team in position to win games. And that's all he wants to do is win. And so it's a credit to how he's always been as a player before he got to the league. Everyone said that he was a winner, and you're seeing it.
Luka said that it was very special watching. He said this a few minutes ago, and he also said that you're a walking bucket. What words do you have for him as a young player? And also,
he a walking bucket.
And how do you feel about seeing KP? I know he didn't play tonight, but
yeah, I mean, it was good to see KP out there, even though he didn't play, but just seeing him back and seeing him with a smile on his face, that makes me happy. But as far as Luka goes, he's gonna be in this league for a long time. He's a young player, and he's gonna get better and better and better and better. And for years to come, we're gonna be watching, a special player. And so I hope you guys out here in Dallas, really appreciate what you have right now in front of you.